ignore that person who's trying to tell you the right way to engage with magic. No one should be able to dictate your relationship with magic. There's no right way to do anything. It gets back to this idea that it's a creative endeavor, it's an artistic endeavor. And there's no right way to create art. There's also no wrong way to create art. And I think it's too easy when you're new to magic to get trapped into listening to people. And I'm sure that some more erudite people would argue with me in that. But I truly believe that the only person who should dictate your relationship with magic is yourself. Listen to everyone and then do what makes you happy.
Mr. Erik Tait, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. It's so awesome to see you and your beard again.
Hello, how are you, Jordana?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm spectacular, but I'll get better.
Spectacular is pretty good. That's like a 10 out of 10 already.
I try.
So we had a chat at Magic Live 2 years ago.
Yes.
And you told me that you wanted to be a comedian. And
yes.
I have since discovered that you realized that you were a much better magician. So I'd love to know, what does it feel like to discover you're much more talented in one area and that works really well, but like inside your diehard passion is really something that you didn't pursue? What is that kind of conflict?
Oh, it's incredibly disappointing. So I would say the context of it is that I was working towards being a comedian for many years, and my ex-partner and I, one day I had come home from a club. I was having difficulty getting things going with the club, and I was pretty frustrated, and she said to me, well, I don't know if you've noticed this, but as a comedian, you're funny, but you're kind of just another white guy. As a magician, you're something special. Like, people sit up and pay attention. How about you focus on being a magician? And within a year, I had released a string of hit effects, had won the IBM Close-Up Award, gotten not only a Penguin lecture, but offered a job at Penguin, and just a bunch of stuff happened. I got shoved in the magic community's face in a very big way after that conversation. Pardon me one moment. We're being joined by my dog, Rocco.
Cute.
So I wouldn't say that I left comedy behind. I'm definitely still a comedy magician. A lot of the presentations that I do tend to be driven by humorous subjects or things that I'm fascinated by, and I look for places I can write it. I mean, I would say arguably one of my most popular routines these days whenever I perform at the Magic Castle or the Chicago Magic Lounge or any of these places is a piece called Nick the Duck, where I have a dippy duck, or the educated duck, the wooden duck puppet that it's a prop for a children's show or family show. But mine's got prison tattoos and smokes a cigarette and shoots psychic knives with its mind. It's a whole thing. And I mean, it's a 7-minute piece that is fairly involved, but it's fundamentally a comedy piece. I talk about meeting the duck in prison, and the duck went to jail because he ripped the wings off a goose just to watch it die. I mean, it's a whole long series of things. And then my card to pocket is all about sort of like freezing and starting and stopping time and doing that in time to the beat with music, and there's lots of jokes, and part of what's funny is how fast I speak during it and the elocution. I mean, so I haven't completely gone away from comedy. It's just that I have to have a lot more props now, and I can't just there's more things to carry.
Yeah, amazing. So then the flip side of that is, how does it feel to have excelled so fast in magic? Because that's not easy.
No, it's still something I come to terms with a lot. Here we just celebrated FISM 2025 in Italy, and I supported the North American team. I'm the FISM rep for the International Brotherhood of Magicians. 3 years ago, I was a competitor and came home with a FISM prize. We're literally recording this podcast on a PC that has a FISM trophy inside of it. I was incredibly thrilled to have 2 of my competitors win prizes. And
for anyone watching or listening that doesn't know, FISM is the Olympics of magic.
Yes, it's the World Championships. It's a pretty big deal. And so our team was hoping for 1 trophy, expecting none, and came home with 2. So we're over the moon with how we did. But also, I kind of I've been doing magic for 20 years, but I've been only really a part of the the larger magic community for the last, 6-7 years. I mean, what is it? It's 2025, and I started working at Penguin in 2020 or in 2018. So, I mean, really only 8 years or so. I haven't been around that long, whereas some other people have been around for 30, 40 years. And so I'm sort of constantly shocked that people
Yeah.
care about my opinions or my tricks or anything. The avalanche of mail I get for, being one of the faces that Penguin elects to put on camera is overwhelming and humbling at the same time.
Alex, your language is so funny. So unassuming, so humble. And on that, you describe yourself as like a niche celebrity. Is that it?
Yeah.
So, and by that you mean like, you go to a magic event and you're swamped, but like you walk down the street and no one knows you? What is it?
Yeah. No, that's kind of what I mean. I'm very fortunate to have a lot of friends who are quite well known in their fields. I've been very good friends with Alexis Nelson, the Black Forager, for a long time. We used to be in a little rinky-dink sketch comedy show together. Kate Osborne is a very close friend of mine, and Carissa Hendricks is a very close friend of mine, and they are orders of magnitude more famous than me. When I go hang out with them, we can't get lunch or a cocktail without somebody descending on them and talking about how they've changed their lives. Whereas no one knows who I am. When I go to, I can go to the grocery store and, go, down to the mailbox or walk my dogs, and no one, not even the local children in my neighborhood know that I'm a magician. And I have a restaurant gig that I do every week at a restaurant called Town Hall here in Columbus. And
You just take the beard off, they don't recognize you?
I don't even have to do that. I walk up to tables and people have no idea who I am. It's proving yourself over and over again to these people, because no matter how famous you become as a magician, no one is ever going to know who you are. So it's very pleasing and gratifying to have people come up to me at conventions and come to the Penguin booth and talk to me about my contributions to the conversation of magic. But I'm also like very aware that like I'm not even like a C-list celebrity. I'm down in like, Elemental P area. So
Elemental P, I love that. Have you put much thought into being in that particular area of the alphabet, or did that just come now?
that just came now.
Wow, that's nice.
That's
nice.
really what it was. So.
Lucky there is a P in there. That is your wit at play. So you've seen so many effects. You've taught. You've written copy for more effects than we can even imagine.
Yes.
What do you think makes a trick or a product stand out? Like immediately when you see something, what makes you go, "Oh, this is a banger"?
Oh yeah. That's a great question. Fundamentally, what we do is an art form. It's a creative act that. Even though I'm on the industry side of things and working to develop products for magic consumers, we still have to like look at things and make a number of decisions about it. And there's a lot of different factors that go into that. Part of it is how hard is it to make? Is it original? Is it a derivative of something else? Or is it inspired by something else, but it actually solves all the problems the original had, but in a bunch of really fascinating, interesting ways? One of my favorite effects that Penguin has ever put out that I got to work on was called Flight 101 by Roddy McGee. It's a ring flight effect where a ring vanishes and it reappears on somebody's keys, but it's a borrowed spectator's keys. And one of the problems that ring flight has had for a long time is that it uses mechanical things that go whizzing and zipping all over the place. And so there's always that like, oh, is the ring still going to be there or did it break? Whereas Roddy's solution has no mechanical parts, no moving parts, and so the ring is very secure. And as a working professional, I find that to be very important to what I do. And so it was easy to look at that and go, oh yes, this is awesome. Sometimes something may be a very clever idea, but it's not terribly practical. Either the handling isn't very good, or and needs to be cleaned up, or maybe it just doesn't have a venue. I don't want to like describe tricks that have been submitted and then shot down for a wide variety of reasons, but there's stuff that happens all the time where you go, this is a great trick, this is a beautiful piece of magic, I have no idea where anyone would ever perform it. I mean, like that is a true answer. And some of that stuff ends up being, we just talked about FISM. FISM's a great example of that, where a lot of the magic that happens in FISM is competition magic that is by magicians for magicians, and it doesn't really have a venue outside of FISM. Not everyone approaches it that way, but it's a good way to think about it. I would say that the thing that always lights up a room, if we were talking about magic as a product, is levitations. Magicians love levitations. If you can come up with a brilliant way to levitate something, congratulations on the new car that you're about to buy. So,
yeah, right. Amazing.
But you've asked me what seems like a very simple question. How can I tell that a trick is great? There's so many different factors that play into it. And a lot of times it's just I don't know the answer to that, but I know it when I see it.
Yeah, that's awesome. What's a product that you think was totally underrated or overlooked by the community?
Oh, well, Flight 101 by Roddy McGee was wildly overlooked by the community. Every time I show it, every time I would say once a month, a magician comes into my restaurant because they hear about it on my podcast and they want to come see, like, does he actually work? Or they want to see if they can see some new Penguin products that haven't hit the market.
Does he actually work? Does he do what he says he does?
Yeah, yes, I do. This is, I produce a weekly podcast. I can't afford to lie. I have to tell you, it's just a constant stream of stuff that comes out of my head. When I show other magicians Flight 101 and the power it has when I perform it with it, they go, wow, how did I overlook that? I'm just like, I don't know. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
That's like, whenever people ask me that, that's my go-to answer, just because every time I do it, people are like, where can I buy one? And I'm like, I don't know, but I've got five of them and you can't have any of them. I would say that probably one of the most overrated tricks is card to number, and I say that with Craig Petty as my dear friend who's released every possible permutation of card to number, but I think it's not a very interesting trick. So what's an underrated trick? Lots of them. What's an overrated trick? Almost always card to number.
Wow, I was actually going to ask you, what is a product that you think got too much hype or didn't live up to the hype that it got?
Oh, I mean, open a random magic web page and throw a dart, and I'm sure you can find something that didn't live up to the hype. I would also say, though, that as magicians, we want stuff to be actually magic. Like, every time I see an amazing effect and then I get it in the mail and I'm like, oh, I have to do something. I'm a little disappointed. Like, what do you mean that fairies aren't real? I should just open this and there should be a leprechaun.
Oh my God, that is
box
actually so true.
Yeah, and part of the rewarding thing is learning how to get those, crazy reactions from it. I'm sure I'm constantly disappointed by the tricks that I have to perform for Penguin, but then at the end of the day, when you look at those demos and you see the tricks that I'm out there getting crazy reactions with, it's part of the rewarding part of the job is learning how to take just about any trick and make it truly special, and then share that information with other magicians.
Yeah.
One that really comes to mind was Hot Rod pen. A lot of magicians are familiar with the classic Hot Rod effect. It's also known as the Fantastic, but it's a stick with 6 different colored gems on it. And Penguin has a pen, like a ballpoint pen. It's got 6 different colors on it. And when I was first given it, I was a little like, oh, I haven't done this trick since I was a pit shop guy in my 20s, and then I started playing with it, and I came up with this really fun presentation that sort of got rid of asking for numbers because the color we were making appear was blue, and the presentation wove in really well with the fact that it was a pen, and you would want blue ink for something. And because it was a pen, that lent it towards some other interesting color changes that wouldn't have happened otherwise. And so while at first I was like, no, I got to do Hot Rod, at the end of it, I was like, I get to do Hot Rod. This is so much fun. And you can see some of the reactions in that demo of people just, their brains absolutely melting, because to them, what is an ordinary pen is doing miracles. So I know that doesn't exactly answer your question, but that's kind of where I live with that, is that it's always disappointing when you first open the box.
Do you think there's a bit of a mindset element there? So do you reckon that you could take anything and view it in a different way and bring that same level of passion and life to it?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I would say that I have developed a set of skills that has made me more predisposed to just barreling through something and seeing if I can get somewhere, and rather than looking at it, trying it a couple times, then just hanging it up. But I think one of the things that people don't realize that happens all the time at Penguin is that there are pretty serious conversations as to who would face a product, whether it's me, whether it's Nick, whether it's a combination of the two of us, or the original creator of the effect, or maybe we need to bring someone in from the outside. It's no surprise that we've worked with Magic Ballet, because sometimes, Magic Ballet has got just the right touch and knows how to make this thing really pop and share that, like, his insight into that. Not every trick is for every magician.
Yeah.
We did a show a few nights ago. We actually had somebody in town performing, and my boss was reflecting on the fact. She said, I've never seen you do like an extended mentalism set. And I didn't realize that what I was doing, like what a lot of people would look at that show, and a lot of magicians would consider it mentalism, but I don't present it that way. But I was absolutely doing mentalism effects. And it's just, being in this job has made me more of a generalist, and I'm pretty happy with that. It's made
Yeah.
me a better magician.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, penguin lectures are packed with massive aha moments, in my own experience anyway. What are some lectures or post lecture discussions that have given you crazy light bulb moments that have just changed the game entirely for you?
Oh, uh, there's so many of those because I took over hosting the lectures for Dan in 2020, I think. It was sort of towards the end of COVID. And there's so many times I've been sitting there hosting a lecture and someone has said something that's just like expanded my mind. Probably one of the most recent ones I can think of is Sam Huang, also known as Crazy Sam. He was talking about how the human eye sees about 30 frames a second, which I work in video. This is a fact I know. But he was also talking about the way our brains perceive reality. And so, like, if you move your hand like back and forth like this, you see a blurred motion. And what you're actually seeing is your hand here and your hand here. And then your brain is filling in, as best it can, the spaces in between the pictures. And so he sort of set out to figure out how this affected magic. And one of the things that he came to the conclusion of, and I think he's right, is when you hear a layperson say, well, the coin just melted away at their hands or just dematerialized. When I watch someone do a particular coin sleight, whether it's a retention vanish or even like any kind of change at their fingertips or a color change with cards, like a snap change, I used to wonder how that would fool anyone because I can see all of the movements that happen and I know what's going on. And what I realized is my brain is correctly interpreting the movements, so it doesn't look as much like magic to me because I can see all of the little things that happen, and my brain is in between those frames filling in the correct information. Whereas lay people don't have that correct information, their brain fills in it as best it can, and so sometimes that means it looks like it melts away or dissolves or fades. And that was one of those moments that made me go, oh, I can really do different things and structure my scripts and structure effects and perform them in ways for lay people where they're really going to experience something dematerializing before their eyes. And that is the experience that they will have, even though for me it's always going to look like I'm always going to see the little finger movements. And so in a way I'm sad that I don't get to see what lay people do, but understanding that made my magic significantly stronger.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, you're a self confessed magic nerd. Is there a core piece of philosophy or theory that you think a lot of new magicians overlook that really could take them to the next level?
Yeah, as long as you're not hurting yourself or somebody else, you should have fun with it. You're not going to kill magic. You're not going to destroy magic. I used to do a lot more lectures on the local ring level, and I really like doing those. I'm pretty involved in the International Brotherhood of Magicians, and anytime a ring reaches out to me and wants me to come lecture, I will do my best to do that because I owe those groups a lot. And when I was doing it more, I would frequently have people say, hey, how do I convince children that magic is not on their phone? It's actually like in the sleights with cards and coins or silks or ropes or whatever. And the answer was always ignore that person who's trying to tell you the right way to engage with magic. No one should be able to dictate your relationship with magic. And I think too often people get sort of like they hear terms like the Spanish school or the Vernon method or the Vernon touch or Marlowe's approach or something like that, and they go and they lock themselves into something that sort of shuts them off from the rest of the magic world or makes them look at things and say, well, that's not the way this person would have done it, so that's wrong. There's no right way to do anything. It gets back to this idea that it's a creative endeavor. It's an artistic endeavor. And there's no right way to create art. There's also no wrong way to create art. And I'm sure that some more erudite people would argue with me in that. But I truly believe that the only person who should dictate your relationship with magic is yourself. And I think it's too easy when you're new to magic to get trapped into listening to people, even like me. I mean, Penguin has me put out a phenomenal amount of YouTube content, and I find myself expressing my opinions and saying like, "Oh, this isn't really the right way to do that." Well, I'm wrong all the time, and so don't listen to everyone and then do what makes you happy. Is what I would say.
That's awesome. You do freely express your opinions. Have you ever faced backlash?
Um, Not very often. Most of the time, any backlash that comes at me is my political stance or my stance on certain human rights. And I'm pretty comfortable that the moral arc of history has bent in the direction that I'm going, so I'm fairly comfortable having those arguments. But I don't think I've ever really had any backlash in expressing opinions in Magic. But also because I'm pretty cautious about making a definitive statement about a lot of things because I'm aware of the reach that I have.
So what are your cushioning words to make it not? How do you express your opinion without making it definitive? What are your buffer words? One could say that if one looked at it in a certain way, they could suggest.
It's my general belief, or I'm asking, I'm not telling is something I'll say to people as I make a statement, a very definitive statement.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and I try and be fairly considered about the things that I say and whatnot when I'm having conversations like this into a open microphone. I constantly have it in the back of my head that I am on the hook for the mortgage for the place that I'm sitting in right now, and if I say the wrong thing in here, I'll have to find a new way to pay for that mortgage. So that's my buffering thing is having a bank own my house.
Got it. That's also why we have post-production, though. Don't forget. You know that.
All good. Yeah.
So after your Fool Us experience and maybe even FISM, you received a wide range of feedback online, some of it amazing and some of it was harsh. Yeah. What was that experience like? What did it teach you? And then out of that, what lessons do you have for other magicians navigating the online space?
So first of all, the delete button should be your favorite friend. If you go through the Fool Us video, you will see almost no negative comments in there. It's because I delete them all. I don't particularly care about other people's opinions on the internet, and because it's my space, I can curate it the way I want. I don't want people who meet me in my restaurant gigs or my corporate clients going on there and saying like, hey, check out this guy who I saw Magic. He was on Penn and Teller Fool Us, or he competed in the World Championships of Magic. And so I'll just delete stuff where people are like, oh, you can see it in his hand or something like this. And I just leave the positive comments up. And over time, if you have enough traffic in something, it just sort of looks like all positive comments, which is fine. If it's your space, you can curate it the way you want. And I don't think that you should just leave up all negative comments. I also realize that the vast majority of the people who are watching these videos they're not experts, they're not specialists. If someone says, can I see your Fool Us video? I will direct them towards the FISM video because it's a significantly better performance. But if they want to watch the Fool Us thing, that's fine with me. I'm just like, yeah, but it's a better routine it's the same routine, but it's better over here. And I just typically don't care. I mean, like, if you get hung up on every single negative comment that comes out on YouTube, then you're really, I think you need to spend more money on your therapist than you do on building your channel and brand stuff. And I also think that it's having a healthy relationship with a therapist is a good thing. I had to remind friends of mine not to fight in those comments. I was like, don't worry about it. The people commenting on stuff are not magicians. Like, it doesn't matter if they think one thing or another. Where I've gotten more touchy is on the reviews on Penguin when I put something up, or when a review happens in a magazine, like when a reviewer writes something. I'll never forget somebody saying that I taught a classic force so quickly that it was almost like it wasn't even worth teaching, and I've never taught anything that swiftly before. I want to go back and actually fix that one. It was in a product that I did a little work on for Jackie Yu, and it's more where I pay more attention to the constructive criticism about the teaching that I do, because I'm pretty passionate about my teaching, and I want my teaching to be good, and I want people to have a great experience and learn magic in a very positive environment. And so when I see these reviews come in, I pay pretty close attention to that stuff. And so being able to identify the difference between a constructive comment and then just some, armchair enthusiast who happened to come by your YouTube video and is now watching, the latest Seth Meyers video, and then after that, clips from their favorite Fortnite streamer. I mean, don't put too much stock in it.
Yeah, and delete.
Yeah.
Did you have to learn to get to the delete phase, or has that just always been your ethos?
No, I that's kind of been my ethos for a long time. I do have like certain rules around my online habits. Like I don't block anyone. I never block people. I might delete comments that I don't want in my space, but I don't block people because I want to I want to keep an eye on someone. Uh, and the also I confine a lot of my activities to different channels. Like if you want to engage with me about magic, Instagram and YouTube are where I do magic, right? If you want to engage with me as a person, humor and politics and human rights are what I do on Facebook. And if you don't
Yeah.
want to hear my political views at all, I would wholeheartedly advise not following me on Facebook. um,
Yeah.
I'm I'm a queer man who is out and happy and doesn't take malarkey from people about
Yeah.
that. So, but I leave all that off of Instagram because I also understand that there's a lot of people out there with a lot of different beliefs, and sometimes they just want to engage with the person who about magic, and they don't want to have any of that other stuff. And so I go, great, here's a place where you can do that with me.
Yeah. You know that by saying if you don't want to come to Facebook, you've literally just invited everyone to Facebook. It's like, don't
Yeah.
think of a yellow elephant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So,
feel free,
so
because I have a message and I'm pretty passionate about it. So.
awesome. How do you feel about magicians exposing effects online?
Obviously, it's not great. I have no idea. I have no idea why. Like, I probably will get some backlash for this, but unfortunately, good magicians like Justin Flom and Rick Lax, and now to a lesser extent Murray Sawchuk. These are people who are actively revealing stuff in an effort to chase clicks and get likes. And I know that that's part of their business model. They know that that's part. That the more clicks, the more engagement, the more revenue they make. And so this sort of when I hear this, well, don't just say I'm chasing clicks. No, you are. I mean, like that's how your revenue model works. I mean, the more impressions you have, the more you can charge advertisers. That's just the way being an internet celebrity works. That's not a secret. And you've elected to betray a fundamental part of magic to do that. I've had arguments with these people about it, and because what it comes down to is, and I've had some pretty serious thought about exposure of magic on the internet, because the dirty secret in magic is that for about $50 you can find out the secret to just about any trick you want, because that's about how much most tricks cost in average. Yes, some are 500 or 1,000, some are 10, 20, some are even free, but for around $50 you can learn most any secret you want. You can just go to Vanishing or Penguin, but the difference is the barrier to entry. Right? When I produce a free tutorial for magic that goes on Penguin Magic's YouTube page, our YouTube page is very targeted towards magicians. You're not gonna stumble in there on the algorithm just because you're watching pictures of cats freaking out at cucumbers or the latest Rick and Morty iceberg YouTube. Like, you just aren't. And then the videos are structured in a way that you have to get through certain things before I start revealing the secrets to you. And the secrets that I'm revealing are either have been taught a lot and are generally considered in the public domain. And if you want to see a really good secret, you have to go to Penguin's site, where you would see a longer version of the video that teaches more in-depth secrets. So what we're doing is creating barriers to entry, and that's what magicians have always done, and decided that it's not that you don't tell the secret, it's that you have to cross this barrier to be able to learn the secret. And there's different ways of creating that barrier to keep the knowledge fairly safe. So I think just exposing it wantonly for chasing clicks is unethical for a couple different reasons. One, it's usually not their trick that they're exposing. It's usually something they bought, or it's something that they don't own the rights to. If you want to expose your own trick, that's fine. I mean, that's like that's just kind of the nature of the beast. That's why we also have publishing ethics and standards in magic, is that I can't take a trick that I learned from somebody else and then publish it on Penguin and charge a price for it, because this is somebody else's trick. They created it. We generally consider that unethical. And so I'm getting really deep in the weeds on this, but in general, I think it's bad. I don't think all exposure is bad. I think that I think that how we define exposure is important. And I think that the community has done a pretty good job of going, this is the line where exposure is, and this is where it's teaching. And we're doing the thing that magicians have done for centuries, which is invite you in to this area to learn secret magic so that's not just out there.
Yeah. I feel like it's going to increase more and more as our attention spans drop further.
I think that there's actually going to be less and less exposure as time goes on.
Oh, nice.
Well, and I think it's for a couple different reasons. You did just mention attention spans. Some secrets are not super easy to expose. A lot of the secrets that these guys are. So again, when you get to some of the secrets that these people are exposing, they're exposing a secret in a lazy way, right? Because I have heard that some of them will say,
"That's your cushioning. I just spotted your cushioning in action."
I have heard that some of these people claim that exposing things actually invites more people into magic because they're showing how cool the secret is. I would argue that if you were really showing how cool the secret is, you would have a much more dynamic way of explaining it and showing and illustrating how cool it was that would excite people about how cool the secret is. And if you can do that in a 10-second video, you're either the best magic teacher that's ever existed or the laziest exposer that's ever existed. It's one or the other, and I think we both know which one it is. So I think that's because I hear that argument where they're like, well, look how cool it is, and the secret is sometimes better than the effect. Yeah, but you need to be able to explain why the secret is cooler than the effect. There's a difference between teaching something and just like showing it to you.
Yeah. On that note, you're a teacher. I teach public speaking. So the skill set that you need to be able to actually teach a craft is completely different to be able to actually do it and execute it. Yep. So what do you think your best qualities and traits are that make you an amazing teacher? And what level of patience and discipline do you need to be able to teach magic, which in itself is quite complex in a lot of ways?
I wouldn't say that I'm an incredible teacher. I would say that I've had a lot of really wonderful teachers who taught me how to teach things well. But I think the one quality that all teachers fundamentally share is curiosity about the world around them. I am deeply fascinated by a wide range of things. It's not just magic and cards. I'm also fascinated by robots and geometry and electricity. Just look around the stuff behind me. There's a Lego model of a solar system that I've
been wondering what that is for like the last half an hour.
It's also hooked up to a smart switch, and if I say certain things, different things turn on and turn off and
Can you
activate
show me?
motors. Ziggy, turn on the universe. Hang on. Ziggy, turn on the Earth. Okay. There it goes.
Oh my God, that is crazy.
Ziggy, turn off the Earth. But also, like, when that was originally hooked up to a motor, it spun super fast. And so I had to then learn about gearing ratios to build a little gear stepping down thing so that it would turn like in a reasonable fashion, and it wouldn't just like spin around and so I got fascinated by how gears work and how to reduce speed, increase torque, things like that. I 3D print stuff, and learning to 3D model has been fascinating. So at the end of the day, I think that what it comes down to is a deep curiosity about stuff, because if you want to have a better understanding of how something works, then you're better explaining how it works.
Yeah. So your curiosity, you channel that into the way you teach?
Yes, I believe I do.
And do you think that allows you to meet people where they're at?
I think so. There's a British show called QI that's run by a brilliant television producer. Stephen Fry used to host it. Now it's hosted by Sandy Toksvig. John Lloyd is his name. And John Lloyd says that if you look at anything long enough, it can become truly fascinating. And I believe that. I think that if you stare at anything long enough, it can be truly fascinating.
That is actually so cool, because the first thing that popped into my mind was a potato. And I was like, oh no, this isn't true. But then I was like, oh my God, yeah, the intricacies of the little hairs that pop out of it and the way it's ribbed and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and like, you think about, you leave a bag of potatoes in a cupboard for months and months, and then suddenly it starts growing. It starts growing and like creating other potatoes and stuff.
Can I just point out how different our minds are? Like I stay clean and beautiful and focus on the aesthetics, and you go straight into like grubby, moldy growth.
No, but it grows. Like you can like the eyes sprout. That's roots. It's not decaying. It's actually like trying to make more potatoes. So like I think all that stuff is fascinating.
That's awesome. So you also put computers together, and you've got like a bit of an engineer element to you. How
Hmm.
does that show up in the way that you create a routine or create an effect? Like how does that mechanical kind of mind play into your magic?
I would say that I'm not as mechanically minded as other people. I'm just not as quick to throw in the towel when something isn't working correctly, or I'll
Oh,
spend an inordinate amount of time on Wikipedia, or I'll call Mario the Maker Magician and say, "How do I do this?" Uh, I like building computers. I've always liked building computers, and then I love lights. I really like. I've spent way too much time working on the lighting in my home with smart lighting and all kinds of different colors. My stepmother says that you can tell that I'm definitely my father's son because of how obsessed we are with lighting. And if I could turn this camera, unfortunately I can't. Hello, Bellatrix. Then you would see all the different lights and stuff that are in there. And so I find that stuff deeply fascinating.
yeah.
I wouldn't say that it ends up in my magic because a lot of my magic tends to be very brute force. I tend to just be like, well, the solution is to just palm it and hold out. So, where it does sort of come, the sort of mechanical minded nature of it comes back out is when I actually get a trick, kind of where do I want it? And then I start to look at how can I make my quality of life in the show better? And so like that started like a great example of that is I used to close or I still close my show with Chad Long's spaghetti al dente. And the problem with that trick is that if you just start doing it, the box of pasta wants to fall over and go everywhere, and it's really annoying and irritating. And then I came up with a way to stop it from doing that, but then that kind of looked like a bomb on an airplane, and I didn't want to keep getting it stopped. So I ended up designing this like really overbuilt box, and now the trick works perfectly. And it's always worked perfectly, but it's just more pleasant to do now, and I don't have to think about certain things.
Yeah.
And so the answer is I just end up with a better quality of life in my show because I'm focused on making things easier and more seamless.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, I have read, to use your cushioning words,
Hmm.
I have read, it has been said, I have heard, I have read that when you perform, your ethos is I'm demonstrating a skill set instead of I'm presenting magic to you. Why do you take that approach?
I think it's because I started as a juggler and not a magician, and coming down to the stuff I don't like to hide my skill because I work really hard on it and I'm proud of it. And one of the things I'm proud of is how adept I am with sleight of hand. And so I sort of came to this idea that if I'm telling you that it's sleight of hand but not telling you how it works, you still get to experience the moment of astonishment.
That's
And
cool.
and so, as long as you're experiencing the moment of astonishment, to you, it's magic. But it also allows me to presentationally answer questions on why things are happening in more fascinating ways.
That's awesome. And it comes back to what you said before about the audience making their own, creating, like the
Hmm.
brain creating its own
Yeah,
illusion or gap or assumption.
yeah,
That's awesome. So
yeah.
if someone says, so do you believe magic is real?
Me? No, absolutely not. No,
Wow.
the universe is way too fascinating of a place on how everything works for the answer to be, oh, it's magic. I picked up a phrase from Douglas Adams, or when people ask me like, "Oh, are you a Christian? Are you agnostic?" and I tell them I'm a radical atheist. And it's not because I'm marching around with flags in the air saying everyone should be an atheist. It's really just to say, when I say that I'm an atheist, and people go, "Oh, don't you mean an agnostic?" No, I've had to think about it. I don't see any evidence for the supernatural, whether it's a theistic origin or a polytheistic origin or whatever, however it is. I don't know the source of anything, but there's definitely an explanation for it. And reality and the way things work is just way too fascinating for the answer to be, poof, it's there.
Oh my God, you'd be so much fun in a just a long conversation. Coffees, beers, like they would just go on for hours and hours and hours. I love your non-theory theories.
Thank you.
Love it. What are three of the biggest mistakes you have made in your magic career, and what did you learn?
Uh, not letting somebody else handle the business sooner. Um, I'm well aware that I'm not good at handling business, and rather than just like hiring someone to do it or contracting out to a service, because also I'm like kind of cheap, which is why I like to build my own computers or 3D print my own stuff. Because I'm like, I'll just do it myself. So I need to let other people do things for me. Also, not scripting early on. I wouldn't say that my scripting process is as formal as other people's, but I do have lines and scripts and things are written down, and there is a process that I go through to get there. And I used to kind of go, well, I'll just get on stage and see what happens, because I was pretty confident in my silver tongue to be able to get me out of anything. And so using scripting better has made my shows significantly better. And also being way too focused on cards for too long, to the exclusion of other stuff. Because there's a lot of stuff now that I know, because Penguin has forced me to be a generalist, that I would never have done, a decade ago.
That's so crazy, because so many people would say, oh, I wish I got into cards earlier or spent more time. And you're like, spent way too much time. That's wild.
It's not that I spent too much time on it. It's that I excluded other stuff. I would go, oh, it's a mentalism trick, I don't care. Or, oh, it's a coin trick, I don't care. I want to know the card stuff. I want to know the interesting stuff. I mean, yes, cards are more interesting than other things. That's just a fact. But that was a joke. You weren't supposed to agree with that. But the point is shutting myself off from other stuff was a mistake.
Yeah. When you look at both the most popular effects and high quality of all time in your, 7 years at Penguin, are there like patterns or consistencies that if you looked back, you were like, oh, wow, they actually all have either that or that or that?
No, because I came into the industry at a weird time. I came in when like digital downloads were definitely like leaving the space. I mean, because there was a time when any Magic company could send an email about a digital download and just it was a license to print money. Because of piracy, tendency to make things more physical has really taken hold of the industry in a pretty significant way. And so there's an evolution. Electronics are a lot less expensive now and much easier to produce. I mean, we work with creators all the time who've created prototypes that are darn near production quality when they get to you. I mean, look at almost anything Alex Latorre makes. I mean, that's all stuff he's made in his bedroom, and it's beautiful. So you never really know what's going to hit the imagination of the Magic community, depending on, what's interest going on in pop culture, whether it's, if there's a particular film or movie or a book that's really popular. There was a rush to do stuff for Harry Potter when Harry Potter was really, big, and now, most people wouldn't want to try and put on a Harry Potter thing. So it's, I couldn't tell you. You can definitely see, the main trend I see is just a moving away from digital into the physical space.
Okay, and then within that physical space, any particular direction or?
No, I can't think of anything. I mean, you can see trends in individual things that like pop up where something is really popular and then let's do that. Like, I think that the age of the application is going away and web apps might start to be a thing so that people don't have to deal with the App Store or Google Store. When I was at FISM, almost everybody who was pitching an application in the dealer's room, it was all web apps. It was all stuff that was where the website was functioning as an application on the phone. It's not a new concept, but it's a way for them to get around a lot of other stuff, which has been sort of frustrating. And so I think, you can see little trends like that, but who knows how long that'll happen or go on.
Yeah. What do you think the Magic world needs more of right now?
It's a good question. I don't know what the Magic world as a whole needs. I do know that Magic societies have got to start to answer the question as to why they're relevant to people under the age of 25. It's a question that comes up a lot for organizations like the International Brotherhood of Magicians or Society of American Magicians, because we're so interconnected now that creating a great space for magicians to gather is a hard thing to do. And that's one of the things that I'm the vice president of IBM Ring 7 in Columbus, and creating a really positive environment for that magicians want to come to and gather together the way we did, decades ago is a pretty big focus for us. And that's why our ring is growing. And I think that, being able to answer that question to these young people who go, well, I can reach out to any of my favorite magicians online or hop on a Zoom call or go on a Discord server and session with 25 other people. They're losing the brick and mortar side of things. The reality of community is very difficult for Magic, and it's not what we're losing it. The way we're interacting is changing. You're seeing more sort of mega festivals, more mega conventions, and less smaller ones. You're seeing more digital communities rather than physical communities. And so in order for those physical things to compete, it's just answering that question is difficult. But that doesn't address the larger question of like the way the art form is going, or the way the industry side of things are going, or where more theaters can crop up, how performers can get, how the hobbyist can engage with the rest of the Magic world versus the pro. And so it's hi for the video listeners.
For anyone listening, he's having a moment with his dog now. Yeah. What's the dog's name?
This is Bellatrix.
Oh, Bellatrix. Yeah. She's got a surname. Her surname's Trix.
No, Bellatrix, Bellatrix. It's the full thing. It's a girl. The other dog, Rocco, the brown one, who is pouting on the floor right now. I wanted a really tough butch name for the dog, so he was a boy, Rocco, and then we wanted to follow the naming convention with the girl, and Bellatrix means strong warrior queen, so she's not Trixie or Bella, she's Bellatrix. So
that's awesome. And just so you know that the strong warrior queen looks like a tiny shivering chihuahua. Is that correct?
That is correct. They are both tiny shivering chihuahuas.
Awesome. So one more question about all of the effects that you actually see. Actually, two. Yep. One, do you feel like a kid in a candy store every day? Because it just seems like if I was there with access to whatever you have, oh my God, like do you still have that level of excitement and joy?
Oh yeah. I mean, being able to like open... I've got this old writing credenza in my the arcade in my house that I stuff with all the latest tricks from Penguin, anything that I've been working on. So it's just there whenever I leave the house. And before I go to any of my gigs, I like open it up and I'm like, what new thing am I going to play with at the gig? And it's super fun. I've been having a lot of fun with some key-based Magic lately. Gatekeeper is the one that I've been playing with. And before that, I was screwing around with sponge balls a lot. And also I'm doing a lot of stuff with jumbo coins these days. So it's always fun to play with something new.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then when you do see a bunch of new effects, is there a common mistake that creators make when they're putting out effects that maybe if they tweaked or changed would have a big difference?
Examining customer experience is something that I think that you can only gain with experience in the Magic industry. You need to learn why something doesn't work before you can understand why it does work. So everything that you see coming out from Penguin, from the packaging to the tutorial to the demo to the actual physical products themselves, it's all pretty deeply thought out. And every interaction that the customer has with those products, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of conversations behind the scenes and a lot of post-mortems that happen. Something will come out, it'll have its day in the sun, and then we'll sit around and go, why was this a big hit? Why wasn't it a big hit? What could we have done differently? Is this an evergreen product? Is it something that's going to be an instant classic and be around for a long time? Those are conversations we have all the time. And I think that new creators need to understand that it's not just that the trick is good, it's the entire experience the customer has with the product. I've heard stories about Blackpool. 20 years ago, you could go set up your product and walk away with a giant pile of cash. And these days, it is one of the most competitive marketplaces. It's the biggest toy store in the world for magicians. And everyone's got nice packaging and nice banners and beautiful photos and literature. And that stuff really matters in the mind of the consumer.
It's so true, because whenever I order from Penguin, like the actual packaging and unboxing process, I'm like, oh, wow, that feels so nice. Or, oh, that's so fan. It's like you get a new iPhone and you open it. It's kind of that mystery and surprise.
Yeah, and that really does have a big effect. I mean, even down to the videos we send out where you see us packing your product. I mean, that's a big part of the customer experience. A lot of people like that.
The gifts?
Yes.
Okay, we have a tradition of 3 questions to wrap up our pod. You go to a desert island and you're only allowed to take 3 items. What are they?
Deck of cards, 3D printer, and
I think your dog is licking your face now. It's trying to say, "Pick me, pick me."
And one of my dogs. Maybe a deck of cards and 2 dogs.
That's awesome. Yeah. Question 2: what keeps you up at night in the best possible way? You like the tag on that? You like the angle I went, not just
Yeah.
what keeps you up at night?
Yeah, because what keeps me up at night? Ooh, Lord, there's a lot. Do we have time for? What keeps me up at night in the best way is sort of like excitement about the next things I'm going to do, some of the secret projects that I have that I can't talk about, where I'm like, oh, I can't wait to like go start playing with that again.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Awesome. And if your younger self could watch you today, what do you think would surprise them the most?
What do you mean I actually got a book published? I think my younger self would be kind of shocked at how far I'd come. I think that a long time ago I had, when I graduated in high school and went into college, it was like in the middle of the recession in the Bush administration. I mean, I was resigned to having to work every day of my life until I died. You suffer, you slave, you expire, as Dylan Moore would say. And seeing how far I've come and the things that I've accomplished, I think my younger me would have never thought that I would be doing this at all in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But I think my younger me would be pretty proud of myself now.
That's awesome. Are you living the dream? Like, is Penguin just the dream? It's just like, hit me with a product. Let's talk about it. Let's go and perform it. Like,
two things about Penguin is the two things I hear often are, man, you're living the dream. You got the best job in magic. I do have the best job in magic. It also comes with its own headaches, and I'm not the only one to tell you that. I mean, anyone who has been in, and there's not a lot of people who've been in my position, but anyone who's been in this position with any type of company, right? I'm not talking just Penguin. I'm talking about Illusionist, Vanishing Ink, Sans Minds, the list goes on. Alakazam, Big Blind Media. Anyone who's been in this kind of position can tell you that it is both the greatest job in the world, and also there is just some stuff that is frustrating of first world problems that, like, one of my closest friends in the world is a woman named Janelle Farage. She's a producer in marketing and advertising, and I call her all the time to just yell about things that are frustrating me. And at the end of it, we always laugh because it's just like, I can't believe this is the thing I'm upset about. Because it has a real effect on my life in a frustrating way, but it's still great. The other thing I hear all the time is like, man, what's it like working for the biggest magic company in the world? You guys are like the Walmart of magic. Well, that's really disingenuous to Walmart. There's like 9 of us. It's a lot of people. I mean, that's not true. There's like, the team isn't very big. The production team is small. The workshop team is bigger, and the shipping team is even bigger. And then there's all kinds of other people who are in administrative roles. But it's also like, we don't have thousands and thousands of employees scattered around the globe. It's a handful of people doing this stuff. And so when you see, Penguin as this giant company, like, remember that functionally we're pretty small, and a lot of us are doing a lot of stuff around here. So if we look like we're tearing our hair out because our head's on fire, probably is.
Yeah.
It's the same with VANISH magazine. VANISH magazine is a huge publication in the magic world. I say that with quotes, but like, the team is not very big, and it's a lot of people doing a lot of stuff to make this content that people like. And so that's the thing, is that be patient with us, because we will come up with cool stuff for you, but there's just not a lot of us doing it. So.
Yeah. Well, you're doing an amazing job. Erik Tait, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Thank you for sharing your insight. Thank you for sharing a little bit of like mildly controversial stuff that was, cushioned in your classic flow. And it's been an absolute joy.
Thank you very much, Jordana. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.